Hey guys, how's it going? Eminem Gaming here, and today we're back with another video. As you can see by the title, we're going to be talking about the Uncharted 4 sort of making of kind of video, sort of documentary thing that was actually posted on the official PlayStation YouTube account. If you haven't seen it, obviously, before watching this, obviously go check it out. I thought it was really good. I watched it actually a few times before I even writ this list. But this is just a list of kind of things that I found interesting, things that were interesting to me, stuff I've seen people online mention, and all that sort of stuff. So I put it into just bullet points, and we're just going to get into it. The first off, they started out saying that obviously Uncharted 4 they've made to be that sort of summer blockbuster sort of game, meaning that it's going to have a lot of, really intense cutscenes. And I saw a few people actually kind of like, oh, we don't play movies, we play games and all this sort of stuff. But and I say to people, play whatever the hell you want. Do you know what I mean? I'm not one of these guys that says you should play this. If you want to play, smaller games over Uncharted, you're completely within your right to. But for me, it's a case of like, with this, it's like, if you don't like that type of genre, that's fine, but you should expect it because all three previous Uncharteds and The Last of Us have all been sort of those cinematic sort of games. So I was a bit surprised to see people annoyed that they came out and say this. But for me, yeah, I knew what to expect with Uncharted. It is going to be a very cinematic story. It's gonna have a lot of cutscenes, but I love that in The Last of Us, the amount of cutscenes it had. Um, and don't get that twisted, guys. You play Uncharted on Crushing, or I can't vouch for this myself because I didn't finish it, but on Brutal, yeah, it's certainly not a playable movie, I can tell you that. And same with The Last of Us, I beat it on Survivor. I actually might download it and try and beat it before the Uncharted 4 comes out on Grounded. But yeah, it's just a little thing I saw. But yeah, the game looks beautiful. But let's get into the second thing, which I did put. The graphics look incredible in the game. The thing is, a lot of people say it's CGI or it's rendered on a PC and all this sort of stuff. It is obviously cutscenes a lot that they've shown us, but it runs in game. The cutscenes, it's not like here's a cutscene that looks brilliant and here's the game. No, they're like seamlessly blended together. So the cutscenes you see will be the gameplay. It's seamless. That's how Naughty Dog have done it. So yeah, I thought it looked really beautiful, very bright, and that's awesome for me anyway. So they were talking about realistic, making Nathan Drake a realistic character. Oh well, as much as you can make someone who's treasure hunting and jumping off mountains and climbing on trains and what I mean, hanging off planes and all this sort of stuff. As much as he can be realistic. So they were mentioning how in Uncharted, it's either something I've completely missed in the other Uncharted games, or it will be new for Uncharted 4. I may have missed it, I may not be remembering properly, bear with me, but I think it's new, so Nathan Drake obviously will punch a bad guy in the game, and he'll actually say like, ouch, that hurt, or he'd be like, hold his knuckles afterwards, because he was saying like, you punch someone in real life, it hurts your hand. So I thought that was really interesting that they're, keeping it very realistic with that. And also how, so when Nathan Drake obviously jumps off like somewhere high, it will wind him. We saw in the PlayStation, was it announced at E3 2014, 2013, one of the two. So if we remember back then, guys, if we remember, the first kind of scene we got was Nate waking up, sort of dazed and winded, and his face covered in mud, because he fell off somewhere high. If you remember that first trailer, so that's really awesome that they're going to keep it very realistic, even though you could argue at this point Nathan Drake's kind of like a Superman. But No, I really like that realistic standpoint, and I know this isn't the same game, and I probably shouldn't mention it or whatever, in completely different game, but Gears of War, I saw the trailer for Gears of War 4, and I noticed how the characters look like they're not on steroids as much, massive, so that, interested me more because it looks more realistic. But yeah, that's me going on. And then a very interesting thing for a lot of Jack and Daxter fans like myself. Um, they said Jack and Daxter when they made Uncharted, so Drake's Fortune, it felt like an evolution of the studio. They felt like they'd turned over a new leaf with the studio, starting something new. They said not only were we learning were we learning Nathan Drake, the character himself, we were actually learning the you know, Naughty Dog were learning about themselves as well, which was really cool. And it's a thing a lot of people say, that Naughty Dog are kind of like past the Jack and Daxters, the Crash Bandicoots. They're kind of past that now. Because the CGI's, trailers, I'm not, motion capture and all that sort of stuff. That's where they're moving forward. They like the realistic look. They like the deep story. And I definitely, I agree with that. 100% for me. Um, Definitely. But that means we're probably, because I remember, I think it was around about the time just before Uncharted 4, they were actually working on Jack and Daxter 4, but it didn't come because they just couldn't make the character really what Jack and Daxter was, and they kind of look very weird in my opinion, the characters anyway. So that kind of, I guess, I don't know, confirms maybe a little bit that we aren't going to get Crash Bandicoots from Jack and Daxter anymore. Personally, I'm fine with that. I like the fact that they're kind of evolve, sorry, as a company or as a franchise or whatever. They've kind of evolved into something a bit more, adult like. I personally love it, so I ain't got a problem. But let me know, guys, would you like them to work on, maybe more kid games? Just let me know. um and then they start talking about The Last of Us, which they say was a refreshing break for them, going off the big set pieces, the big action scenes of Uncharted. The big explosions. I think we all remember the train and the plane as well, gripping onto that, walking through the desert and everything. We all know what Uncharted's famous for, its big set pieces. They said it was a real refreshing thing to come off of The Last of Us. Start doing The Last of Us. Um, yeah, so I found that very interesting. They say, obviously it was more grounded and more intimate, the game. More of a sort of, I guess, realistic, and they go on to mention how you played the big events in The Last of Us. So they showed a scene, obviously, if you remember, spoilers if you haven't played the game, but you kind of like, I guess, go in the sewers, and you grasping to hold on to a bus that's kind of sinking. That's really awesome. I like the fact that you play a lot of the big scenes in the game. A lot of what a lot of people would have put as like cutscenes, I guess. They kind of kept the action towards you. You played the action, so that's really cool. Um, Intimate character development, I put down. Now that basically means like the characters would bond with each other. Through the game. You start out, Ellie kind of hates Joel at the start, but at the end, Ellie will literally, risk her own life to, try and find him. So I think interest in the character development, the sort of things, the interactions between the two. Um, so yeah, I think that's really cool. And obviously, like I say, obviously when you're talking to your companions, you can actually now interact with the environments, and they showed that they're linking that with obviously Uncharted 4. Interacting with your environments. particularly in Madagascar from the, I guess, PlayStation. I'm blanking on the name. I think it was E3 2015. E3 2015, we saw the Madagascar thing. You know, when they were driving on um, their jeeps going through construction sites and all that. Yeah, then they kind of he was talking about a lemur and all this sort of stuff. So yeah, I thought that was really cool that you can interact with the environment. They also did it in The Last of Us, where you like interacted like with a giraffe, and you'd see a bit of paper and you'd talk about it and all that sort of stuff. So I think I'm really excited to have all the conversations and all that sort of stuff. That's going to be really exciting for me to search for all them. All the side conversations. If you remember, there was a trophy to talk to everyone in the game. Yeah, so that's going to be awesome. Um, and then they said, The Last of Us influenced Uncharted 4. So it was kind of like The Last of Us is obviously a deep story. They talk, um, you know, more about story. It's a very cinematic game, even though it's very difficult on its hardest difficulty. But it's very grounded, and it's very an emotional story. I think they're taking those aspects out of it, but still having the big train, plane, all those different sequences in the game. They're keeping them. They said they want it to be quote unquote bombastic and over the top, and yeah, definitely like an action summer blockbuster. They want to have that, but like rooted in like realism. So that's awesome, to see, and that's what we all kind of love from Uncharted. That's why some people absolutely love The Last of Us more than Uncharted, like me. But that's why some people enjoyed Uncharted was the big set pieces. So that's going to be very interesting as well. Um, the characters will help you when you're in trouble. Very similar again, like The Last of Us. A lot of comparisons I noticed. But in The Last of Us, if you got thrown by like clickers, Ellie would come in and smack one round the head with a bat or something. You know what I mean? To free you, and it shows it in the game. Again, E3 2015's demo or live action, whatever the hell it was. Um, Sully, you're getting grabbed by one guy and you're punching him off like you do in the multiplayer with Triangle, and then another guy comes and starts punching you in the stomach, and then Sully takes him out. I thought that was awesome, and yeah, it definitely reminds me of The Last of Us. How it was about companionship in that game. I thought that was awesome. They said it's a bigger, brighter world with more stuff to explore, but in a linear environment. So, what does that mean? Obviously, we know what a bigger, brighter world is. We've kind of seen it from the multiplayer. I'm kind of in awe every time I play the multiplayer. I'm just looking in the background like, wow, look at the draw distance, look at the colours they're using. You know what I mean? Especially coming from The Last of Us, it was a very dark game. This is very bright and vibrant in its colours. And that's just the multiplayer. I mean, we all know that the single player runs at a higher resolution. So yeah, that's going to be awesome to see. Um, and then they said obviously about the exploration in the linear kind of world. That's awesome, obviously, again to see. So what it'll be is very much like, again, a lot of comparisons with this game, but The Last of Us, how there's really only one way to go, but there's like three ways to get there. You can go to the right, you can go to the left, but really there's no way you're not going to get to the main goal, but you're not going to get sidetracked and lost. You'll be able to find your path back. I think that's really cool. To see. That was my favourite thing about The Last of Us, was actually on my second playthrough, or yeah, whatever, second playthrough, whenever I did it, going through, because I beat the game 8 times, do you know what I mean? So platinumed it twice, so I loved that game. But what I loved about it was actually watching the collectible videos, finding out where they were, and just ticking them off one by one. and reading the notes. I never do that in games. I'm a bit of a trophy collector, but I do a hell of a lot of collectible videos. I literally never read anything, but I wanted to be in that world, so I can't wait to obviously platinum Uncharted 4 because it's a great game, but to read all the deep notes and all that sort of stuff, I'm excited for. And yeah, it's just said that obviously that they're merging the two together, the two main things in the game, the bombastic big set pieces, but also the smaller moments that intimate moments between like either Sully, Elena, Sam, whoever, sort of like in the Last of Us again. You know what I mean? A lot of references to that. But yeah, what do you think? Did you watch the trailer, guys? I writ this obviously these notes down from what I personally believe. But do you have a different opinion? Did you think? Did you catch anything that I may have not have? Let me know down below, guys. But as always, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like, comment, and subscribe because it does help my channel out. But until next time.